At the end of 2021, I quit my six-figure, once-dream job of working on radio across the country to start a business. This business, a podcast business. And this is a podcast about starting this podcast business. Session in progress. Hello, if you don't know me, I'm Angus O'Loughlin, and at one point in my career, I was so lucky to host massive radio shows heard by millions across Australia and the world, and I got to travel the world and interview the world's biggest celebrities. Here's a little show reel, including some of my friends like Ellie Goulding.
That is crazy. We have like a do-do-do-do.
Piggyback rides with Ed Sheeran.
Would you like a piggyback?
I'd love a piggyback.
Hanging out backstage with Justin Bieber. You're in Melbourne last night. You were in a studio, so we've got to ask, were you recording some new tracks?
I finished the album here.
You finished the album
That
in
is
Melbourne?
the coolest.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome?
And of course,
Taylor Swift, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the launch of Shazam Top 20. This is our new radio show and you're on the first week of it.
I'm so excited about that. That's amazing.
and I quit. Sometimes I still think about it, but I quit and I couldn't go back. And I had to stay the path that I believed I could forge myself. And the moment that I quit, or the reason that I quit, came down to a few things. COVID definitely affected the vibe of radio, being in a radio studio by myself and everyone else being virtual. But there was one key moment. I just had my first child, a daughter called Indiana, who's now 3. And I played her first ever words on radio like 4 days after she said it. And this is those words. Later on, I can't remember if it was that day or that week, someone tagged me on Instagram and was sharing that moment on their story of my daughter's voice. And I realized that somebody owned my daughter's voice because that was my job. Everything I put through the microphone was my radio networks. And it sat with me weird, still does. And they owned thousands of hours of my voice. With my radio network, I'd been on air for 13 years, 15, nearly 16 years total. I'd shared highs and lows of my life. I'd shared breakups and engagements. I'd shared triumphs, tribulations, every part of my life I'd shared. And up until that point, it'd been fine. I'd signed a contract. I was paid really well. I had an amazing job and I was super happy. But it was that moment of sharing Indy's voice. I knew someone else owned and was monetizing that felt weird. And that was the moment I knew I had to quit. In 2022, I was unemployed. Because some people might say entrepreneur there. I was unemployed, but I officially had a company called From Your Pocket. And this is a podcast about building that podcast company up until this point. So for the past 24 months, we've been in business. We've done some incredible things. I've made some huge mistakes. We've hired an incredible person. I'm not sure if you can hear her in the background, but she's here. And we're going to speak to my partner as well, Emily, about what it's like to quit your well-paying job that was steady months after having a child. So that's what's going to be happening with this podcast called Session in Progress. And things are about to change in a really big way. Now, that might be great or it might be really bad. It's actually happening in real time as this stands. It's a couple of months in the future, but I want to take you guys along the journey with us as we transform. I can't really give away what that is just yet, but it's going to be a massive change for who we are, what we look like, what we sound like, and who we work with. But back to when I quit and that contract ended. What happened next? Well, in January of 2022, I signed 2 sponsorship contracts for $125,000. Pretty good. That's a good month. A really good month. But what happened next, I think the kids call dropping the bag. And I think in business, it's called becoming part of the statistic. 20% of new businesses fail during the first 2 years of starting, 45% during the first 5 years, and 65% will fail in the first 10 years of having a business. And with $125,000 in the bank, I was set to not last my first year. On the next episode of Session in Progress, I got a $30,000 tax bill and I didn't have $30,000. Episodes are dropping every week till we catch up till today. If you like this episode, then give our new podcast page a follow on Instagram. It's @session.in.progress, where we can talk all things podcasting together.